The roommate. It was the middle of the night when Emily heard a sound coming from the room next door. She had just moved into a new apartment and was still getting used to the sounds of the old building. But this sound was different. It sounded like someone was whispering. Emily got out of bed and crept towards the door of her bedroom. The whispering was getting louder and she could make out a few words. It sounded like her roommate, Julia, was talking to someone. But Emily knew Julia was alone in her room. She hesitated for a moment, then knocked softly on the door. The whispering stopped abruptly and there was no answer. Emily knocked again, a little louder this time. Still, no response. She turned the doorknob and pushed the door open slowly. Julia was sitting on her bed, her back to the door. She didn't turn around when Emily entered the room. Emily could see that Julia was holding something in her hand, but she couldn't tell what it was. "Julia?" Emily said softly. "Are you okay?" No response. Emily took a few steps closer and peered over Julia's shoulder. In her hand, Julia was holding a small antique doll. Its eyes were closed and its hair was tangled. Emily shuddered involuntarily. "Where did you get that?" she asked. Julia turned her head slowly and looked at Emily over her shoulder. Her eyes were dark and unfocused, and she didn't say a word. Emily took a step back, suddenly feeling very afraid. "Julia, what's going on?" she asked, her voice trembling. Julia's lips twisted into a sinister smile. "She likes you," she said, gesturing towards the doll. "She wants to be your friend." Emily felt a cold shiver run down her spine. She turned to leave, but before she could take a step, she felt something wrap around her ankle. She looked down to see the antique doll's tiny arms reaching up towards her. Emily screamed and tried to pull away, but the doll's grip was surprisingly strong. Julia laughed from behind her, and Emily knew that she had made a terrible mistake by moving in with this strange girl. From that night on, Emily was never able to escape the grasp of the antique doll. She became trapped in Julia's twisted game of make-believe, forced to play along with the doll's bizarre and terrifying fantasies. She knew that she would never be free, that the antique doll had claimed her as its own. And she could feel the doll's cold dead eyes watching her every move, even in her nightmares.